Okay, sir, it's already 5 minutes later, so you can start now.
Okay,
Okay.
so good afternoon all. Hope you everyone had lunch, and let's move on to the second session. So I request everyone to listen to what I say, and this is some important topics to be shared in this session. Let me share my screen.
Okay, I request all the participants to mute themselves for the rest of the session, and then at last, if you want to ask anything, you can ask by unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you, Abhilasha. So in this session, we'll be wait. Is everyone able to see my screen? Okay. Yeah. So I welcome everyone to the session 2 of Blockchain Explained. In this session, I'll give you a brief of what we will be discussing in this session. That is, we'll be introducing the blockchain network which is present in the Bitcoin domain. So we'll dive more deep into the Bitcoin blockchain network. Your doubts whether there is a Bitcoin blockchain network separately for cryptocurrency and separately for transactions. That doubts will be cleared in the session, and we'll get into more details of nodes that work in a P2P environment, and a block anatomy we'll study over here. Then we'll move on to the consensus or game theory mechanisms and smart contracts which is present in the Ethereum blockchain. So that thereby including both public blockchains, the both important public blockchains, which is Ethereum and Bitcoin. We'll discuss their evolution and use cases in brief. Then we'll conclude with the architecture of blockchain in brief. So that is about the second session of Blockchain Explained. So let me introduce you that Bitcoin blockchain that we spoke earlier about is the first blockchain network created by Satoshi Nakamoto. That is an individual which is known by the name Satoshi Nakamoto. It it is not a real name of a person. It is known as an alias or a fake name of an alias person, and it is considered as the creator of Bitcoin blockchain network. So not only Bitcoin blockchain network exists as a public network, it has the cryptocurrency called Bitcoin present in that particular Bitcoin blockchain. So what is the difference between a Bitcoin and a blockchain? So Bitcoin, it is a cryptocurrency as of all, and whatever technology it runs on is called Bitcoin blockchain. So consider this: Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency which is implemented in the Bitcoin blockchain and is only a mere application of blockchain. So we can commonly say Bitcoin blockchain as Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is a mere application of blockchain. As Satoshi Nakamoto, aka it's an alias name. So he created the first network called Bitcoin. And in that, a cryptocurrency named Bitcoin is present. So that's the introduction that we are discussing about Bitcoin. Now we are going to discuss the different types of nodes present in that particular Bitcoin blockchain platform. We already discussed the Bitcoin blockchain network, or any blockchain network, will consist of three important protocols, which are consensus, P2P network, and game theory. Sorry, P2P network, game theory. Anyone can say the third one? Anyone? Any voice? No response. Is there in the Google chat? Do I get any response from you guys? Please share your responses over in the chat. 3 protocols that we learned in the previous session. Guys, anyone? Anyone can answer a simple question, that is, what were the 3 main protocols behind blockchain that we discussed in the earlier session? You can share your response in the Google chat. I'll give you 2 of them, P2P network and game theory. One more was there. Important feature of blockchain. Any more clues needed? No one remember that? Okay, it's fine. Nobody's read. Yeah, no, consensus is already told. That is game theory. So I will type the responses over here. First one is game theory or consensus. Yeah, Vivek Dubey, you said the right answer. Cryptography. So cryptography, game theory, and P2P network. So these are the 3 main protocols of any blockchain network. Okay. So please don't forget that. And I hope you understood the last session, and that's why I'm asking some small questions from that. So every blockchain have a P2P network. So there are nodes connected to each other, and among them, nodes can be of different types. So those are, first one is minor node, second one is full node, third one is SPV node. So explaining about a minor node. So mining means somebody who is trying to add validations or add transactions to a blockchain by validating blocks or creating new blocks that we learned in the earlier session. So whichever node does the process of mining is called a minor node. As well as full node is a node which stores all the details and blocks in the network in his system. So a minor node can be a full node and a full node can be a minor node. But the difference is minor node mines the blocks and full node just keeps the details or just store the details of blocks in the network. That is the main difference. But there is one speciality when it comes to SPV node. So these are the nodes that store only the partial details of the block in the network. You might be having a doubt, why is that node only carrying a partial details of the entire network? So as we spoke in the Bitcoin, it is the first implementation of blockchain and it has many use cases. So particularly saying Bitcoin blockchain is only for approval of transactions conducted in the cryptocurrency called Bitcoin. The same blockchain network can be adapted to any other platform or use cases, which we will discuss in the coming session. Here, each node will have its own transaction pool that it maintains, transaction pool means every node will be continuously designated transactions that needs to be validated by each one of them. Not only one single validation will consider that will consider that transaction as valid. Every node should validate each and every transaction. So every transaction made in every blockchain network will be broadcasted to every node in the blockchain network. But they have the option to mine or do not mine. So he can either be a minor node or be a full node. So there you have the answer. There is a difference between minor node and a full node. But SPV nodes store only the partial details of blocks in the network. In blockchain, at a given point of time, it is not necessary for all the nodes to have the same transactions in their transaction pool. There could be various reasons for this to happen, such as network latency, broken connection, less computational power, etc. Bitcoin blockchain also defines the frequency at which blocks should be created inside the network, which is set to 10 minutes in the current Bitcoin system. So every 10 minutes, there is a frequency of blocks which is added to the blockchain network, particularly Bitcoin blockchain network. We discussed about SPV nodes. SPV nodes are also called as lightweight nodes. They verify transaction using a method called simplified payment verification. So there goes the full form of SPV node, simplified payment verification. SPV also allows a node to verify if a transaction has been included in a block without having to download the entire blockchain. So even though SPV nodes have partial details of the blocks in the network, they are allowed to verify without downloading the entire blockchain. So being an SPV node is the better option that you can choose if you are trying to enter a blockchain network, since you might not have the entire computational facility to mine. So first of all, you will be thinking, what are the difficulties in mining? In detail, we will discuss that later, but in brief, I can explain you that for mining, a person or individual trying to be a node in the blockchain network, if he needs to mine, he needs to have that much computational facility, that much network security, that much network speed and capacity. So being a node, you can't simply just activate your laptop and be a miner in a Bitcoin blockchain network. Whereas in many other blockchains, mining is an easy process where you can use laptop also. But mainly in the Bitcoin mining process, since the Bitcoin has a value of around 7 lakhs INR at the current rate, in order to mine that particular Bitcoin, you need that much of computational power. You might have heard of cryptocurrency trading platforms, but in that, what happens is you are trading your money, your INR, your USD that is in your wallet, you're trading that with the current Bitcoins available in the blockchain network. So there needs to be that much care and what do you call
सबसे लास्ट
available in the Bitcoin cryptocurrency, Bitcoin blockchain network. So you don't need to entirely mine that. You can trade that with the INR or USD that is in your wallet. There are multiple applications available for that. So we are discussing about a node and mining. So you know the three types of nodes which are available in the Bitcoin blockchain network, which are minor node, full node, and SPV nodes. SPV in the sense it is full form is simplified payment verification. Moving on to the block anatomy. In the previous session, we discussed that blockchain is a chain of blocks which store data and is having a particular hashing algorithm which links to the previous block in order to maintain the chain. So over here, I have a simple reference to a block and the anatomical version of a block. Here, blocks are the fundamental components of the blockchain. A block header is comprised of the following components: Merkle root, timestamp, nonce, transaction counter, previous block hash. So these are the main things which are present in a block, and it already have the data path which is in the body. Particular block. Then comes timestamp. Timestamp, it is the block creation time which is entered as a header part. Whenever a block is getting validated by every node, that block records the timestamp recorded in the block header of blockchain. Then comes nonce. It is a random value that is updated to try different permutations to level the difficulty achievements. Why I said Bitcoin blockchain mining is a tedious process? Why can't I mine Bitcoin from my laptop? Simply, we can say that much of security and that much of data can't be flowed through your laptop. For that, ultimate computational facility is required. As an extra added security level, we have hashing algorithms. And each block will have a computational facility requirement. There is a level for that. So to break that level or to achieve that much computational facility, we need certain level of facility in our system. So consider a laptop. We don't have that much of facility. For that, a nonce is there, a random number to adjust the level of difficulty in order to achieve different permutations. So that much of permutation is happening inside a block. Considering transactions, that much of transactions are happening in a second. So that much of computation facility need to be spent in order to validate that block. Computational facility in the sense it will be in the backend doing a process or a tedious algorithm in order to crack that consensus and validate their transactions according to the consensus. Understand? Next comes the transaction counter. So this simply by the name itself, we can understand that these count the number of transactions in a block. A block not only have only single transaction, it have many number of transactions that are validated if it is a valid block. So transaction counter will be counting the number of transaction per block. Then comes previous block hash. This is an important thing. And when it comes to the topic of orphan block, this previous block hash will be absent since that occurred at a higher rate. Since two of the block propagated throughout the node at the same time. The previous block hash will be absent in case of an orphan block. The concept definition is it is a hash of the previous block in the same chain. So a chain is maintained by making the previous blockchain or previous block hash written in the succeeding block. So that's how blocks are being maintained inside a blockchain. The data in the body part will be having the transactional data, the from to, from which address to which address, the amount of the data, the amount of transactional value, that all data will be in the body part of the block. This is a brief in blockchain of block anatomy. The next important thing is game theory or consensus. In the Bitcoin blockchain network, recently I have told you that it requires much of a computational facility. So what is that computational facility? Why we require such effort in mining or in validating a simple transaction? That is, say, from A to B, sending 10 rupees. Why we need that much computational facility in spending that much and receiving some reward as Bitcoin in case of Bitcoin blockchain network? So Bitcoin blockchain network have a consensus called proof of work. It is a common consensus algorithm used by the most popular cryptocurrency network like Bitcoin and Litecoin. It requires a participant node to prove that the work done and submitted by them qualifies to receive the right to add new transaction to the blockchain. So every node in the network will be competing to validate a transaction and get the reward of Bitcoins. Everyone might be interested to get the reward as Bitcoin, since one Bitcoin will be a lot of earning to consider for validating a transaction. So everyone will be competing among the nodes to validate a transaction. So they have to do some computational facility, or they have to prove that they have done a work. Work in the sense solve a puzzle. In the proof of work, there exists a term called puzzle that is described by the nonce that we just discussed in the block anatomy. So a nonce will direct in a particular node which is trying to mine or validate a block to a particular puzzle. He needs to solve that puzzle in order to add new transactions and validate those in the blockchain. So they need to prove that they have done a work by their computational facility in order to solve a puzzle, to write new transactions and verify new transactions. So it won't be easy for anyone to just come and validate any transaction. They have to work accordingly to the consensus mechanism, and Bitcoin uses the consensus mechanism called proof of work, where they solve a puzzle and gets the credibility to add new transactions and validate new transactions. in the next sentence, you can see that this whole mining mechanism of Bitcoin needs high energy consumption and longer processing time. That is why every Bitcoin blockchain network has a rate of block creation for 10 minutes. In every 10 minutes, a block is created. So you can guess how much energy consumption and processing time it requires to validate a single block with many transactions. This is the important consensus which is used by Bitcoin blockchain network and Litecoin blockchain network. Next one is proof of stake. It is another common consensus algorithm that evolved as a low cost, low energy consuming alternative to the proof of work algorithm. So we are here considering a low cost, low energy alternative to the proof of work, which had high energy consumption and longer processing time. Over here, it involves the allocation of responsibility in maintaining the public ledger to a node in proportion to the number of virtual currency tokens held by it. So every node in the network displays their cryptocurrency balance in their wallet in order to achieve the position to maintain the ledger. It is a different type of consensus. It is not used in Bitcoin blockchain network as of now. So the main point is how much of cryptocurrency balance you hold, you get the power to validate a transaction. So this also comes with a drawback that it promotes crypto coin saving instead of spending. So if I am in the cryptocurrency field or working as a node, there is no point of keeping that currency in my wallet itself. In order to make changes to that value, we need to trade it. As of stock market, take the case of stock market. Every stock has its own value. Every cryptocurrency has its own value. It will change accordingly, time to time. So if the value increases, the value of the Bitcoin in your wallet also increases. So you have to spend it. But proof of stake has a drawback that it promotes cryptocurrency saving. Why they are saving the cryptocurrency? In order to receive more Bitcoin or more coins or more cryptocurrencies for transacting and validating in blockchain network. So that is the second important consensus mechanism present in the blockchain network. The next one is proof of capacity. It allows the sharing of memory space of contributing nodes on the blockchain network. The more memory or hard disk space a node has, the more right it is granted for maintaining the public ledger. So consider the case of each and every consensus. It is one among the other better to each other. So every node in the network is competing to the validation of transactions, but every consensus is different, is having a different set of rules. So over here, the more hard disk space a node has, the more right it is granted. For what? For transacting or maintaining the public ledger. This is the brief of 3 important consensus that is used in present technological departments. Next one is smart contract. This is a concept, or this is a term used in the Ethereum blockchain network, as we need some important core functionalities or core values to the blockchain network. Not only make cryptocurrency transactions, we need more data transactions, we need more agreements happening inside blockchain. So what do we do? Where do we write those rules, or where do we write particular incentive mechanisms in a blockchain. This concept called smart contract is present in Ethereum blockchain. A smart contract is the digital version of a contract that runs on the blockchain nodes and is executed when a set of trigger criteria are met. Say, if I am joining the Ethereum network, if the smart contract in the particular network is written in such a way that if any new node is entering the network, he is awarded some Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. So that set of rules or that set of incentive mechanisms is written in smart contracts. If designed right, a smart contract will surely be successful as it is driven by a computer system without human intervention. So whoever tries to change or whoever tries to add something to the incentive mechanism, he will not be able to do that, as the owner or the person who initiated that particular blockchain in an organization or as a public blockchain will have written the smart contract, and once written it can't be edited or altered, so that it doesn't require any further human intervention. The smart contract will completely communicate with the computer systems working alongside the Bitcoin or Ethereum blockchain network. So that is the concept of smart contracts. So as of now, you can think of many use cases in the Ethereum domain. I can explain some of that. In the aviation sector, that is, while traveling through domestic flights and international flights, some of you might have delayed a plane. I mean, you might have faced a flight delay, or you couldn't board the plane, some type of issue. So the insurance amount or the claim amount, there is some lot of process involved in that. So if that entire system is implemented in the terms of blockchain, I'm going to discuss such a use case. Whenever a flight gets delayed for a certain amount of time, the user gets the insurance claim amount immediately. So why we need a blockchain over there? That is explained through the business problem statement. The reduced customer satisfaction due to the lengthy process and paperwork for claiming flight delay insurance. So that is a business problem statement that is present in the aviation sector. This is just for example purposes, and that is the reason why we need blockchain in the aviation sector. And there we can use a particular smart contract which initiates payments or insurance claims if a user is facing such flight delays and all. The network consists of, it is a sort of consortium blockchain network used by the insurance companies and airlines. So in order to directly claim the insurance amount or the claim amount, what all networks should be there, what all nodes should be there? The airline sector should be there, and the banking sector should be there, where insurance companies are connected to each other. So there is a consortium blockchain in between, where any user can enter. So there is no kind of mining or transaction validation. There is nothing like that. Only there is a system which has certain nodes which work under a consortium blockchain consensus, and they validate even though or even any customer have faced any flight delays, and they are initiated for the insurance claim. The involved parties, as we discussed, will be passenger, airlines, and insurance company. So what are the prerequisites for those networks? We need flight information, obviously. If the flight is delayed, how will the nodes get to know that flight is delayed? So for that network to work properly, they need access to the complete information from the airline database. Then only somebody will be able to claim the flight delay insurance or automatically initiate claim amount to the passengers. So that is a prerequisite condition for the aviation sector. Then what is the trigger event? We discussed in the previous slide that certain trigger events should be met. That if a participant or a passenger is claiming for insurance, that he is saying he have a delay in flights, so he needs to be initiated with the claim amount. For that, the trigger event can be set as if the flight is delayed more than 2 hours and if the passenger have insurance claimed, he can get the amount immediately. The business logic says that if a passenger has insurance, then immediately initiate the claim process and credit money to his or her account. The important role of smart contract actually enables the business ecosystem to improve on its customer stickiness as well as participation in the network. So you have one use case, proper use case, which can be done in real life using smart contracts. The next one is healthcare sector. We all know we face many health issues and proper notification to the concerned relatives are not being sent, or critical medical reports need to be notified to the concerned authorities and relatives. So we can discuss an important use case in the healthcare sector. This is very important for governments to run very smoothly. If the health sector is the worst, government is not having that much importance or taking that much care to the needy people. So there we have a use case. For the governments to run very smooth and make the citizens very happy, we can discuss a business problem statement. So government wants to provide critical medical care for unidentified accident victims. In this case, if any unidentified critical care from the hospitals also, so they need to be urgently notified if they have registered in the network, and their relatives will be notified immediately, such that they have a network among the public which is accessible to all. The network parties included in this blockchain network, for example, is having nodes with hospitals, Aadhaar department, which we have in India right now, and insurance company. So this also is a consortium blockchain where participants are of many kinds and they have their own network authorities. So relatives, in order to give critical care and to the hospital to attend to the critical person or victim, and for the insurance company to raise the claim amount for the particular accident victim. What will be the prerequisites for the health sector smart contract? It will be incident reporting from hospitals or public through an app, easily available app. Everyone will be having a smartphone. Any public can notify the nearby health sector department or hospitals with this app, and immediately action can be taken from the hospital side, just as in real life now. But blockchain improves that by initiating the claim amount and proper identification of the victim through this network, even only if the person injured or accident victim is registered in the network. So the prerequisite are incident reporting from hospitals or public through an app and mandatory insurance cover for the public. So this can be implemented in real life also, where government says that it is mandatory to take insurance covers, and there is proper identification materials like Aadhaar with every individual wherever they go. And can you think of the trigger event of this particular health sector smart contract? Patients from road accidents or fire hazards getting registered at the hospital. So whenever an unidentified victim gets into an accident, if the public reports that to the hospital, whenever they register that identified victim through this network, they get immediate insurance claim through this network. The business logic behind this is the patient biometric information is passed to the Aadhaar UID to identify the details. Then insurance cover is identified. This enables direct cashless payment to hospitals and to send intimations to the relatives via SMS. So this is a real life use case that you can consider to implement nowadays. It is far more having a better use case now. So think of much more use cases like this, which proves public goodness. The next area where we can initiate a smart contract is a governance area or the governance sector. It is also a public permissioned blockchain network where the problem statement is to enable citizens to vote for a candidate of their choice via a secure mechanism. So nowadays, whoever votes more, whoever candidate gets more vote wins. So the problem statement is it enables to vote through a secure mechanism. I'm not saying that nowadays we don't have a secure mechanism. I'm just saying that if that is through the smart contract facility, which we have blockchain network, it will have the network parties such as all citizens and whoever have particular ID for voting. Then the voting authority or the what do you call governmental sectors which are designated to enable public to vote. That is the vote. What do you call voters card initiators or something. Yeah. So the prerequisites of the network is this setup need to be anonymized. So whoever votes, their name should not be there. Like in the present system also, their name shouldn't be displayed in the blockchain network. So they should be anonymized. So there lies our blockchain application. We have already a feature of blockchain called anonymity. We can use that particular feature in this blockchain. Then the involved parties are candidates, a commission of the country voters, and the election department. So the three of them will have a public permission blockchain network among them with the trigger event. So now we can discuss the trigger event for voting. So when a vote is cast by an eligible voter, that will take it as a triggering event. So you can make, you can't make that monetizing. So that's why it is public permission blockchain. So only the permission is given for particular entities or individuals which have proper identification materials, that is voters ID card. The business logic behind this is, if the voter's age is above the minimum required voting age, he or she can cast only one vote to his or her preferred candidate, and smart contract increments the counter of that candidate by one. So simply, the counter will be specific to each and every candidate and each and every voter, specifically to count each vote to each candidate. So there lies a counter, a transaction counter will be there. We can design such a blockchain with transaction counter which counts particular votes for particular candidates. So that is the business logic that we can discuss when it comes to the governance sector. Now we will discuss the evolution of smart contracts, how it evolved as the important factor which is present in the Ethereum blockchain network. So before that, I would like to take a 10 minutes break. Don't get bored and all. Just have a cup of water. I'll be back in 5 minutes. So if everyone is ready, we can have a break. Okay. So till now, we have discussed about smart contracts and their use cases. Now we are discussing the evolution of smart contracts, how the concept of smart contracts came to the blockchain technology. The first point or the first step was the very first version of blockchain was a state machine. It was just like an accounting ledger where it held only the state of the node. That means every node will be storing each and everyone's state. That means if A is making a transaction request to B, that is considered as a state change. That state change will be transmitted all along the network. But in that, the balance of the respective individuals are also noted. So the very first version of blockchain was a state machine. Like a normal ledger, it only registered the state of the node. Then came the thought that if all the nodes are within a same computer network, why can't we have a code associated with these nodes which can run on its own predefined logic? So what happens if a logic is already implemented in top of the state of a machine? State in the sense individuals A and individual B will be having some particular balance in their account. We are talking about a normal blockchain where transactions are recorded. So in that blockchain, the state will be recorded. And then came the thought that why can't a code associated with every node which run on its own predefined logic. So whenever a predefined logic is written, the state will be transmitted automatically to the whole network, and with predefined logic it will be validated by all the nodes. So there we have the thought of making it in a code format in blockchain. But we need external data also, like how much computation facility he is using, how much network speed he is having, how much validating computational facility he is using. So external data is required for the smart contract to connect it to external world. So as it acts as a promise between two individuals, or whenever a transaction made by two individuals, that particular request will be propagated within all the nodes in the network, in which they validate those transactions like a promise or like an approved verification for each and every transaction. That is how smart contracts emerged. A smart contract is like a promise between two people or the entire network. But contracts in different countries could hold slightly different meanings, and their breaches could also cause very different results. But in the blockchain, what happens is only by the conditions written in smart contract, anyone in the node can make actions. That means only abiding the rules and conditions of the smart contract, every individual in the network can validate a transaction. So that's why a common code where all nodes abide those rules in the code, which runs on its own predefined logic. So there doesn't need any human intervention where people decide when to make a transaction valid or how to make a transaction valid. All those things are written inside the smart contracts. So why it happened such a way that it it can also include data apart from transactional data. Since enterprises wanted interoperability within or outside the organization as a feature for their networks without compromising the confidentiality of their operations. That means even though a company is making not only transactional data, whatever they make for their organization, the data can be transported through blockchain so as to get verified. The evolution, such an evolution happened because of the reason depicted in point 4. That is, all the enterprises wanted interoperability within organization or outside the organization. That leads to consortium blockchain, and in that consortium blockchain, multiple organizations can communicate with each other. Not only transactional data they can share among the network, they can share also uh, private data related to some project and much more. So now you know why a smart contract evolved into the blockchain technology and why blockchain technology uses such terms or such game theories in order to maintain such a well versed technology called blockchain. This is the brief on smart contracts. Now we can discuss the blockchain architecture. Architecture in the sense, recently I have said many examples of person A making a transaction to person B. But I'll give you a very interesting infographic on that. A blockchain is formed with the purpose of solving a common business problem. In this figure, please listen this carefully. In this figure, you can see these are many nodes connected to each other, and the steps they do have their own importance. That is, all nodes have their own digital signatures. through which identities are managed. A transaction is rendered after consensus is achieved, and once validated, blocks are sent to all nodes who verify and add to their chain of blocks, thus forming the blockchain. So you might be having a doubt of, here we can, in the figure also we can see many chains. In the first section we have one chain, in the second one we have another chain, but how the most of the nodes select the best chain? Since all of those having all of those nodes are having the same data propagated among each other, which is shown now in the figure, is a same copy of the same data. So whichever chain you can take can be considered as the best chain. There is nothing like there exist 5 chains in total. It is all a central chain or a single chain only. It is added to the same block. So over here you might be wondering why the center one is a bit bigger. It is a central server. We discussed many application layers or the layers of the blockchain network, where we had application layer, ledger layer, logic layer, interface layer, and we discussed 5 of the layers in the blockchain network in the last session. Can anyone please help me with that? 5 layers of blockchain network. We had 5 layers. Application layer is one among them. Interface layer is one among them, which collects the APIs, which is used to communicate with the blockchain and get the required result. Then comes the logic layer, where the business logic is written. Then comes the ledger layer, where ledger records are being done. Then comes the hardware layer. So this central one is the hardware layer, that it can be a cloud or a server that hosts the entire network. This is the host or server which keeps the blockchain running, so that every node will get the same copy of network and no manipulated data will be propagated. So that is the blockchain architecture we can discuss. I can briefly explain once more. A blockchain is formed with the purpose of solving a common business problem that all nodes who potentially want to join the network are facing. So they have a common business problem, right? In the previous smart contract use case example, in every case we discussed the business problem behind it. Similarly, a blockchain should be implemented where there is a business problem present and can be solved by blockchain. Not every single company or organization need to be implemented on blockchain. There need to be some use cases to that. Proper use cases should be studied and well defined for that particular organization, or it can be a consortium blockchain among multiple organizations. So that's how the blockchain architecture works. From the beginning itself, we'll brief once more, as today's session is having those concepts only. We'll brief once again from the beginning for those who missed during the break or something. So the main 2 points we discussed in this session are Bitcoin blockchain network and some important terms related to Ethereum blockchain network. In Bitcoin cryptocurrency, in Bitcoin blockchain network, there lies a cryptocurrency called Bitcoin, and the blockchain network with which the cryptocurrency Bitcoin exists is just an application of blockchain. You can think of many use cases, many application level cases related to blockchain. Think of that. Let me know. I can help you out. And then we discussed about nodes. So there are three types of main nodes: minor nodes, full node, and SPV nodes. Special payment verification node is the full form of SPV nodes. They only store the partial details of the blocks in the network. The full node store the whole details of blocks in the network. Minor node creates or validates or have the right to validate a block, and they get proper reward in terms of the cryptocurrency present in that particular blockchain. So in Bitcoin blockchain, what reward does a miner get? That is a simple question. The Bitcoin blockchain is currently rewarding the Bitcoin miners in terms of Bitcoin. So for every mining, it might be different for every mining, but it is all written from which value to which value it should be initiated, that reward should be initiated. It is written in the consensus protocols. And a particular miner needs to spend some computational facility in order to solve the nonce or the solve the difficulty level present in that particular blockchain and get the right to validate a block or write a transaction. So next thing is consensus. So in consensus, we discussed what all type of work we have to do, what all type of computational facility or things we have to do to receive the right to validate a transaction. The main important consensus is proof of work. It needs high energy consumption and longer processing time. It records the proof of particular work done, and then only the system will qualify it as a validator. The next thing is proof of stake, where nodes have to show a particular number of virtual currency token in order to receive the right to validate a transaction. While in the case of proof of capacity, it is like having more disk space in your laptop or in your mining system, the more right you get to validate a system. But validating a block also takes time, since it is going through the algorithms of hashing. That is the cryptographic hashing algorithm. So that requires proper time, so that every time, if I am having the most capacity among every node, so that you will be having doubt that I will be getting all the power to validate all nodes. But the first time only I will be getting that validating power, since I have to work on that block, I have to validate that block, I have to propagate that block, so that only cryptocurrency incentive mechanisms will be working. The same time, the next pool of transactions will be having another node as their validators. So every time I won't be the validator if I am having the most capacity. I will be doing some work on the meantime for the first time, and consecutively the other nodes will also get the chance to validate. That is the main three consensus we discussed about. Then came the smart contract and its use cases. These are use cases with proper business problem statements. You can think of many use cases like these. You can relate your daily life. You might be everyone from educational institutions, as far as I understand. You can think of some use cases in educational sector also, or I will explain some educational use cases in the coming sessions. Then we talked about the evolution of smart contracts, how we reached to the term that mentioned smart contracts, or a complex logic which can be written or which can act as a automatically whenever a trigger event is present. Then we discussed the main basic architecture of blockchain, how blocks are being validated, how blockchain is being maintained by every node. We discussed the nodes of the network, and this depicts the end of this session, second session of Blockchain Explained. Thanks, and you can shoot your questions right now. We have some time available. So this is the end of the session, and please share your doubts, reviews, comments, or did I miss any topics? You can share that.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for this informative session. And I request the participants to kindly share their questions or ask the queries in chat box, or they can unmute themselves and ask directly.
I will. Somebody is asking for information of last 2 day session. As I'm not aware of the last 2 day session, please
Sir,
coordinate with the.
we have already shared a link of the group
Uh,
to them, and we have
okay.
added them.
Okay.
I think
Any
Nishita
doubts?
Tiwari ma'am has asked some question.
Sir, if full node is storing all the details of the blocks, then why we use SP node, which only store partial detail of the blocks? See, a node in the sense they might not have equal computational facility among them, which means they might not have the capacity to hold the each and every detail in the network. So being an SPV node have the privilege of seeing only the unvalidated transactions and validating it. So thereby they don't have to spend that much capacity of their system, or they don't need that much of facilities with them to validate particular transactions. Is that doubt cleared now? Okay. Any more doubts? Okay, I am not having the feedback link. Somebody please coordinate that and let Mr. Sonal Yadav know about that. I'm not having any feedback link for that.
Yeah, we will share it soon. We'll share it. Please ask
Okay.
questions.
Any questions? If you are writing some notes from my class, you can share random thoughts, or somebody can share some real life smart contract use cases, or if they can, we can make a discussion among that. If you probably are all from educational institutions, right? So you can think of some use cases regarding students, marks, or something like that, grade points to be awarded. So we can discuss some of the major use cases in blockchain with the use of smart contracts. Anyone? Okay, nobody is having doubts or anything, I think.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so much. And there's an announcement that we'll have our next session in the morning tomorrow. Google link will be shared with you all, and feedback link is, I think, no, we are sharing feedback link soon.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Please keep notes of all the classes. I am planning to conduct some test sessions also, some basic questions If you are interested, I can share the questions through Google Sheets, Google Forms, and all. Okay, so you can answer and be more attentive in the classes. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here.
Once again, thank you so much, sir. And you have shared a great knowledge. Thank you so much. And feedback link is already shared with all of you. So kindly fill this and then you can leave the group.
Okay.